The Democratic Socialists aren't sugarcoating their agenda anymore. The DSA's new co-chair laying out their once fringe wish list where everything is on the table. Watch here with Shannon Bream.
Just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the DSA is becoming a force to be reckoned with, growing to 120,000 members nationwide. But while the socialists are winning over Democrats, their platform is a major turnoff for independent voters.
Among Democrats, this is that Fox poll, a majority have a favorable view of socialism. Step outside the Democratic Party, it's a totally different world. Look at independence, socialism, deeply unpopular there. So is that a vulnerability for Democrats that would keep them from capitalizing on Trump's obvious weaknesses here?
And with 99 days until the midterms, President Trump hitting the trail in Michigan, pitching common sense versus communism.
We're running against communists. Now, this is great. They want to take your houses. They want to do things that nobody's ever even thought of before. They want to take your money. They want to raise your tax up to 80%. I gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, so we'll keep it that way. They want no police and they want no prisons. Where are these people coming from? Communists, nothing good happens. That's been proven for 1,000 years using different names.
Jesse, President Trump is known for hyperbole and a little exaggeration, but in this case, he was just repeating what they said.
That's great. And they said it on Fox. Unlike Democrats, they're not afraid to come on Fox. And also difference, they're not blaming Trump the whole interview. So you could actually hear what the agenda is. I know more about the commie agenda in 2 minutes than I know about the Democratic agenda in 2 years. And the polls show the country has no idea what the Democrats stand for. The Democrats have no idea what they stand for. 4 years under Joe Biden, no one even knows what happened. All right. So the woman comes on and she explains why she wants to abolish all this stuff. And this is great because she is wrong about everything. She says we need to eliminate borders and give amnesty and voting rights to migrants because the United States causes illegal immigration because we go around the world and we destabilize other countries and force other people to come here. You know who comes here the most illegally? Mexicans. Do we destabilize Mexico? They're like our largest trading partner. Now, if Trump was going to start landing airstrikes in Guadalajara and then all these migrants are going to pour in, yes, that is destabilizing Mexico. And that might happen. But until it does, she's dead wrong. She also says that she wants to abolish the Senate because it doesn't give the people a voice. Well, that's not really why the Senate was put there. The Senate was put there for states with low populations to get equal power and because of mass hysteria in Congress. Who has made a mistake when they've been passionate? Who's been making a mistake when they've been angry? And then maybe a day later they realize, maybe I shouldn't have done that. That's why we have the Senate. The Senate's like the senior who prevents the freshman from getting drunk and doing things that is going to ruin their lives later on. That's why we have the Senate. She says we need to abolish prisons because most of the crimes are like poverty crimes. Yeah. Also not true. 2/3 of the people in state prison are there for homicide, rape, and violent assault. Most of the crimes are not for burglary and carjacking, okay? And a lot of the people in federal prison are there for drug trafficking. That's like moving millions of dollars of cocaine, ecstasy, and heroin across state lines. Those guys have furs, Lambos, safes stacked with cash. I don't even have that. So this midterm is going to come down to common sense versus crazy. And the Democrats have a choice. They can do common sense or what they're doing now, which is straddling crazy and common sense. And as you know, when you stand in the middle of the road, you get run over.
Tyrus, do you think Republicans should be concerned that this DSA movement is growing, or should the Democrats be more concerned by it?
I think everyone should be concerned. I think we've already experienced this. We all not forgot about the pandemic. That was what it was like when the government told you what to do. How did we like that? I think everyone across the board hated it. Even worse, we saw Americans turn on Americans for favor. They would report someone if they played outside. But I think the problem is that Americans were very spoiled, and we don't really know what communism looks like. I had Michael Malice on my podcast today. I love him, hilarious guy. He was born in former Soviet Union, and their communism, what they would do is they would force you to live in family groups in one apartment. Even if, like, the Dana family and the Tyrus family, the government has given our housing, we have to share an apartment. So you know what the families would end up doing is that they would report one of the family members and have them disappeared in the middle of the night so they could get the extra bedroom. That's communism. We don't understand. We saw during the pandemic how upsetting it was to be told to get a shot, to told to wear a mask, said you couldn't go outside. That's what they're aiming for. And America rejected it wholeheartedly. We're still looking for get back from all we lost, the education we lost. We have a whole generation of young men that are lost. That is communism. That's what it's going to look like. I'm just glad that they're no longer hiding behind the curtain. The Democratic Party has been overtaken by communism, and now they're saying it. They're flaunting it. They're literally walking on Fox News saying what it is. This is how we're going to do it. Here's the thing. I'm not against it. I think everyone at this table is not in favor of communism. Are the American people going to show up when it comes time to not get these people into power? Because at the end of the day, if America falls to communism, it's because the American people willed it. So we're still a free society, and I would not vote for this, but I would not stop another American from voting for it. I just hope there's more of us than there are them.
What it is, Jessica? What is it?
It is a terrible TV segment for the Democratic Party. It was texted to me by no less than 10 concerned Democrats who were like, "Are you watching this?" And I said, "Shannon's Booker beat Jesse's Booker." So I actually think that there is a great opportunity out of this for the party. And I think that they should seize it, because you need to get on the record about these policy positions, because there are a lot of people who think that democratic socialism and what the DSA is selling is Medicare for all and tax the rich. And maybe a few grocery stores, universal pre-K, childcare. They do not think it's abolishing prisons. They do not think it means that anyone who is here illegally immediately becomes a citizen. Do you want to have a conversation about there being 2 senators from a state with the population of South Dakota and only 2 from California? I get that, but abolishing the Senate, abolishing the presidency, foundational core tenets of the country, that's very different. As far as I know, in terms of who's actually been on the ballot and been successful with that kind of radical agenda, it's just Chevalier from up in Harlem, thus far. Yeah, Daria Lisa.
Yeah, but what about the lady in Colorado?
Ethiopian barista.
She's, I don't believe me. Correct me if I'm wrong, that she doesn't want to abolish prisons and say
Okay,
all the...
you're wrong.
Really? You don't know that.
I'm taking
I see it
guess.
on your face. Okay, well, she's a lawyer, so
Oh, that makes it better?
No, I'm just saying it would surprise me more to hear her say that. So take the opportunity while you can. Make sure that the common sense versus crazy is the framing of the general election. I'm watching Trump out there at the rally. He is boasting about an economic record that does not exist. They've lost thousands of manufacturing jobs, construction jobs. People are losing their health care in Michigan. And he is selling a bad bill of goods. And the American public knows that. They strongly disapprove of him across the board and in Michigan. So don't let the framing be about this party wants to get rid of prisons, and then you have to turn around and take more of this guy.
So, Kennedy, I'm glad that Jessica brought that up about the Democrats taking an opportunity to make a point. But here's the thing that I believe. I think Democrats want to say that they're part of the Big Tent, and they are going to rely on us to discredit the DSA, because they're going to pretend that everything's fine so that they can get the numbers and win elections because they want power.
Well, unfortunately, it's a very lazy tack, and that's what they've done with President Trump. Instead of relying on policy positions that really resonate with people, so you don't have to do this really messy cleanup this late in a midterm cycle. You know, this is all just a complete, massive, unforced error. And they could have been dictating this stuff and fighting the Democratic Socialists from within since 2016, and they decided not to do that, and it has metastasized to the point where, you know, now it is blocking out any sunlight that Democrats might have felt, thinking that they have momentum going into the midterms. You know, this is a massive refocusing point, and it really is terrifying. Like, this kind of socialism making purchase in this country, it should really scare the living crap out of people, because, you know, what these people are doing, these irrational dingbats that, you know, luckily go on air and talk about this stuff, what they're doing is they are telegraphing an apocalypse. And, you know, they're not sugarcoating it. So they want to burn the Constitution. And it may be an imperfect system. Like, there may be imperfections in our government, but at least we have a government that can examine itself and make things better. So what is there better? What are they offering with no prisons, mass amnesty, getting rid of the Senate, getting rid of the presidency, getting rid of the Supreme Court? It is a dystopia. And, you know, it's not good news for Democrats, because you guys are too late to this. And there is a big fissure in your party between the people like Chris Murphy, who are like, oh, we're a big tent party. No, you're not. You're a party in decline that's about to be completely eviscerated by psychopaths. And, you know, thank God for the independents. They are fickle. You know, they are not MAGA Republicans, but they are the only ones who are standing the rational line when so much has been ceded to, you know, people who's, I can't say a bad word.
Well, we welcome all dingbats to America's Newsroom. Please call us and put you on air.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.